1865 to 1908. If that year sounds familiar to you, it should. 1865, this was built at the same time as the roundhouse here. Anywhere where you see cinder blocks and windows up and down our wall here would have been once doorways into the facility. And as you come through, if you look this way, you will find two bricked up archways that were the original entryways as well. Now, a question that I do like to ask, only because I have fun with it, and I promise there's not an obvious answer, so if you don't get it, please don't feel bad. My question to you becomes, how do you get a locomotive from a round building into a rectangular building?
Well, they're not going to be working on it, so the trains can just drive straight through.
Well, that's
right?
Good for one track, but
yeah,
what about
track.
where
yeah,
I have
right.
that curve?
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
All right, what is it?
You put in switches.
Nope, not switches.
No.
Oh, really? Back it up onto the other track and then go back through?
You could, but once again, you have the issue that you have a curve versus a straight line.
You lay tracks on an angle.
Nope, not angled.
Dolly?
Not a dot. Well, you're close.
Oh.
So what we use is what's called a transfer table. Now what you have to remember is this is the 1937 expansion right behind you. The 1865 roundhouse would have been further away. In the spot where we are currently would have been called the transfer table. It's like a turntable, but instead of going around in circles, it goes back and forth. They would pull up alongside the edge of the building here onto that table, and then the table would move up and down this wall to whatever doorway they needed to get in. In 1902, when they build out eventually, they're going to put what we call the through track here. So instead of pulling to the edge of the building, you pull onto the transfer table from this track, move up and down. However, as I previously mentioned, this building was only used as the locomotive works until 1908. By 1908, we didn't need it anymore. I'll talk a little bit about what happens then. And so in 1937, they simply build out their back walls farther and use the area that had the transfer pit table as part of the roundhouse area. So we'll step inside. This is where I do have to be serious for a second and give you your safety briefing. We are doing some operations and work today. I believe they might be taking a break when we come through, but please, at all times, keep on the yellow path as much as possible. There will be times that I will invite you to step off the yellow path. Please do not step off it unless I have specifically invited you off it. Make sure you are watching where you step. You may have noticed already, but the rubber gussets in the rails are going to disappear. We want to make sure that nobody's rolling an ankle. Our shop guys are also really good about cleaning up bits of oil and scrap. They miss things on occasion, so just make sure you're watching that step. And please, 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 do not touch any machines or material. Best case scenario, you walk away with a souvenir stain that's not going to come out. Worst case scenario, you go to work tomorrow missing a finger or two. So with that in mind, please follow me, stay on the yellow line, and stay between me and Scott at all times.
Follow the yellow brick road.
All right, so here in our shop, as I previously mentioned, 1865 to 1908. This is where you do the heavy maintenance. As where the roundhouse would have been for basic maintenance and inspection, tightening bolts, lubrication, this would have been the place to do heavier maintenance. Replacing driving rods, replacing boilers, cleaning boilers, pulling out boiler tubes, replacing cabs. All that heavy maintenance that needed to be done would have been done in this building. Now you can see it's not a very long building from one side to the other. It's been modified a lot from 1865 going into the modern era. By 1908, this building became too small for the work that needed to be done here. At that time, at the turn of the, right around 1908, 1920, there were about 700 locomotives that were owned by the Lackawanna Railroad. 500 of them were based out of here in Scranton, Pennsylvania. This shop became way too small to keep up with that kind of work. So they will take this shop, They will make a new one, which we'll talk about in just a moment. And this will become the machine shop. Does anybody here, can anybody here tell me what a machine shop is used for? I know you don't.
To work when they make tools.
Very good. So a machine shop is where we can make materials. Sometimes it's making tools, sometimes it's making parts. We can't simply go to Walmart and buy a new part. We have to make everything in-house. This was in an age where you didn't have interchangeable parts. Everything had to be made specifically for the equipment. So there would have been various machines throughout here to make different things. We had various raw materials, metals and woods that would be shaped into the parts that we needed by our machines, our carpenters, and machinists. And we still today use this as our machine shop. I had a point and I lost it. You'll see that happens to me quite a bit. I have one brain cell. I'm pretty sure I share it with somebody down in Cumberland Island. So. But this machine shop would be originally powered by steam. That's the track that I was trying to get on. If you look over your head, you will see in this white area there would have been a series of belts and pulleys. When they need to turn on a machine, they pull a lever. It will engage a belt up to the belt system, turning it on. Turn it off, you just disengage the belt and it stops and drops. That will always be rotating up there. We had a steam plant once upon a time just outside this shop. That generates steam for the entire facility. The steam even turned our turntable out there at one time. I wish I brought it with me, but there's an amazing photograph of them hooking up a steam locomotive to the smokestack out there one time when they were demolishing it, and the engine pulled forward to pull the smokestack down. I have to remember that next time. But anyway, this shop was used as a machine shop from 1908 right up until the Conrail era in the 1980s. Now, when Conrail left here, was a railroad, but a business. Just as time is money, so is material. So Conrail will take every piece of machinery out of it. And when we get here in 1984, there's nothing in this building but echo. Well, so what are we going to do with it? It doesn't sound like a good thing on the face of it, but this building is not considered a historic structure by the National Park Service because it's been modified so much from 1865 to 1980. What that means, however, is we can modify it however we want. Good for us. We decided to make it our own machine shop. But where do we get our machines from?
Yeah.
Well, being a part of the federal government, our next door neighbor, the U.S. military. And what does the military have but surplus? So we went to them and said, by any chance, do you have machines that do A, B, C, and X, Y, Z specs? Absolutely, we'll send them right to you. So you will see that a lot of our machines are in a nice seafoam green. Some of them have come off of naval craft. Some of them have come off of military bases. Some of them were even used on the United States military railroads. So we have various machines for cutting, bending. We have different kinds of lathes, different shapes of lathes. Anything that we need to do, we can pretty much do here. On occasion, we do have to send some work out if it's a larger scope than we can hold, but we can actually make a lot here, and our guys are very skilled at what they do. When we started, a lot of our crew, they were former railroaders. They knew how every single one of these machines worked. But, by the way, as we go through, you'll notice that there's not one single computer in this shop. Everything is done by pencil, paper, and mathematical know-how, just as they would have done in the age of steam. Those gentlemen who had worked for the railroad